I am Laura Walton. I'm a clinical psychologist and scuba diving instructor. I help divers stay fit to dive. One of the ways that I do this is by teaching scuba divers ACT. In this talk, I want to tell you about the ScubaFlex and why I think ACT can be so incredibly useful to scuba divers. Here's me looking at one of my favourite things in the whole world, the underside of the surface of the water, something I never got to see until I became a scuba diver 15 years ago. Diving has changed the way that I see things, and it's also challenged me in all sorts of ways. I found psychology helps me as a diver. So when I attended an ACBS conference in 2013 and heard about ACT for ice hockey players, I got really excited. I could see straight away how helpful ACT could be for scuba divers. This idea of building ice hockey players' ability to stay present and respond effectively while they're on the ice was directly paralleling what I could see was needed for scuba divers, being able to stay calm, alert and focused underwater. But being the one to do that was scary, so I just kind of filed it away, never quite getting around to doing anything about it. Well, last year we entered 2020. For many divers, the sea is where we go to relax. In the midst of all the strain of the pandemic, not being able to get in the water, not being able to do this thing that we loved, it was kind of tough for a lot of us. And I was grateful for ACT helping me through that time. So I decided one of the most helpful things I could do from home would be to share it with scuba divers. I gathered the various papers and presentations produced by Tobias Lundgren's team and studied the Mindfulness and Acceptance in Sport book. The subtitle alone suggested it could be helpful to divers under pressure. Through the generosity of the ACT community, I was able to draw on lots of great ACT exercises that had inbuilt relevance to divers, like Demons on the Boat. And I adapted and created exercises to fit more closely to the specific challenges of scuba diving. I created an outline for 7 70-minute sessions based around the core ACT processes and the unifying exercise of the diving lifeline, which is essentially a modified choice point. 6 willing divers joined me on Zoom and we set off, with me writing the sessions and responding to feedback as we went. Each week we would dive into a new set of experiential exercises and explore their application to our diving. And as I'd imagined, we found that there are lots of ways that ACT can be helpful to scuba divers. But time is short, and so I'd like to take just one example to give you a quick introduction to how the ACT processes can be so helpful in a scuba diving context. Difficult intrusive thoughts such as "what if I run out of air?" and the associated emotions like anxiety can be a problem for divers. So let's just take that one for a dive around the ScubaFlex. We can dive into this at any point in the process, as you know. So how about some simple present moment attention? Paying attention to what is going on around us. Staying aware is so very important to us as divers, so we can practice hovering in the moment and checking our present air supply, of course. An alarming thought like, "what if I run out of air?" can really grab hold of you at depth, drawing all of your attention and kind of ironically making you breathe faster. So how about some diffusion? I am having the thought, "what if I run out of air?" Reacting to discomfort can lead to more stress, so we may benefit from drifting around to some acceptance. In the group, we learn practices to create space around anxiety or fear. From there, we can delve into a bit of selfing perhaps, noticing that the thoughts and emotions along with the various sensations that diving can bring are experiences within us. With that awareness of self, we can float around to values, to what matters in our diving, and we can consider, for what purpose are we diving? We fin on over to committed action and look at how we can move forward even when things are difficult. Do we want to practice skills that we could use in the event that we actually did run out of air? And finally, let's ascend a bit and bring all of this together. Psychological flexibility. So incredibly useful to divers. Without gills, being deep underwater can be genuinely life-threatening, and I believe that psychological flexibility can help divers to be safe and connected with all the reasons that we dive. ACT can help people to be psychologically flexible divers who are present underwater, calm yet alert and able to take effective, workable actions. It can also support us to improve our performance as divers, to become more skilled and therefore more confident and comfortable in the water. Like me here, floating around comfortably in the open sea, partly thanks to ACT.